Go to the next page in your book there, and let's put this scale to work. There's no sense in learning the scale and not learning how to apply it to what we play. So the scale was one thing, and it had a definite order. The only way to make the scale music is to rearrange the notes, and that's what we're going to do. You should recognize every note in the next page. It says Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, and we're talking about the fills in Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. And we're talking about learning some fills by heart. You won't have time to read these things. You'll need to learn them. Not a bad idea. It's just another way of doing the scale, isn't it? The very first one, this is fill number 1. We'll use it several times, by the way, so you might as well learn this one well. And we've got several others. But this one starts somewhere in the scale, and it's on the E position on 12, and it goes back to 10A and F, 8A and F, 7A and B, and there's a slight pause there. Notice the timings there. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, after a slight pause, 5A to 3A and F, and it ends up on a B. Well, the very first fill in Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain does start in E, but it ends on a 5 chord, because that's where the second line, once you get to looking at the chord chart, you'll see it's got to end on a 5. We want to take the singer to the 5, and that's it. So the fill is going to be this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. And Bob will be back in singing, and that's one of your chords. That last note there is actually going to be a chord. Notice it's 4 beats long. And we'll add another B chord anywhere. Well, what's close? We'll be behind the singer, so we're just going to play chords, maybe up to 5A. That's as close as one as we can get. So it'll start off, and we'll just play chords behind the singer for 2 beats, maybe 7A and B, maybe up to 12, and then the fill. Be playing chords and another chord. And here comes fill number 2. It's an E to an E fill. It doesn't go anywhere. It just stays in E, but we want to play a fill. Look at here. We're going to use the notes in E scale. Notice how they're all very recognizable. 3A and F to 7 to 7A and B, and then slide up to 12. So here's that first little part. Way up to 15A and F, 14A and B, 12A and B, and the singer's back in. So fill number 2 will sound like this. Again, here they are, both of them. The very first one will end in B, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. Playing chords. Now the second one goes. That'll be the end of the second line. That's fill number 2. Well, the third line comes, and it's just exactly like the first line, so we'll play fill number 1 again. Well, we might want to change that around. We might want to say, well, I've already played it there. Why not in the third line, play it up on strings 4 and 5. Now listen to it. The same fill, number 1. Nobody would ever guess it's the same fill. So literally, you can do the whole verse of Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain with 2 fills. You're a 2-lick guitar player so far. You got fill number 1 in the first line, fill number 2 at the end of the second line, and you're going to have to put chords between them, obviously. Leave that up to you. And then fill number 1 again at the end of the third line. But the plot thickens. Look at the next page where it says fill number 4. And we're doing this different because we're trying to tell the band, the audience, the world, that we're going to play a fill that leads us from E to an A, and we're going to use E 7th. Notice where it happens. This is fill number 4, starts on 7A and B, goes to 8A and F, scale note. Here's where we break from the major scale, and we're going to play 10 with the A pedal. Well, isn't that E7? So we're going to insert a 7th chord, a 1/7, in this scale, but we're still using E scale. 7A and B to 8A and F to 10A, 12A, 13A and F. 13A and F is one up from E open. If we learned our seventh positions, by golly, there it is. We're putting two different E7ths. In other words, we're forcing the sound of this song to go to A. So we're going to play 13A and F, back to 12A. Here's that E7th again. And it's begging, it's dying to land on an A chord. And sure enough, the very last note in this phrase ends on 8A and F. So fill number 4 is at what we would call an E7th scale, but it's still E major with slight modifications. Goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And that puts us at the, that comes at the end of the verse. That puts us into the chorus, and that's one of the chords in the chorus now. And we'll play maybe an A chord there, another 4 chord anywhere. And then we've got the very next fill, which is number 5, is going to be an A to an A fill because the end of the first line of the chorus is in A. It starts in A and it ends in A, but it's going to come back to an E on the very end. So we're going to use an old friend from the D lever chorus. Remember that friendly little lick that we learned in there that went... There it is, something we're familiar with. So it's in A, it starts A pedals down and uses the 2 frets below the D lever spot. And then we're going to walk it from the A through the scale, back down to E. And that's what you see. It's an A to an E fill. So the very first fill, the top line in the chorus will go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that puts us at the second line in the chorus. Now, we'll play an E there, and then down to an E maybe on 7A and B. And the end of the second line of the chorus starts in a B chord and ends up on an E. So we're going to play a straight E scale, but E scale is a perfect B7 scale. So we're going to start on 2. Notice we're going to go right straight through the E scale the way you learned it, but it starts on 2 rather than 3. We're going to tell them, hey, we know what chord it is, but we're going to play the same scale. So it starts on 2A and B to 3A and F, 5A, 7A, 8A and F, 10A and F, 12A and B, 14A and B, 15, and we're back where we started. So the second line, the end of the second line in the chorus, is a pure scale. Like we said, the prettiest thing that could ever happen is a straight scale. There it is. And if you learn it, this will be a breeze. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every lick, every note in every phrase here is in E scale except for one, and that was in fill number 4 where we used 10A instead of 10A and F because we wanted it to make it sound like E7, and we used 13A and F. We broke from E scale to make it sound like we're going somewhere else, and that's what the chorus does. It sounds like it's changing keys, and E7th does that. So you've got a lot of fills to learn here. You want to stop right here now. Take your time. Memorize these fills. I don't think you'll have time to read them. You're going to have know how they go. Again, all the way through. Fill number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fill number 2 will be fill number 3 again will be number 1. Fill number 4 will be that E7th sound that starts on 7. Then we're in the chorus. fill in the chorus is going to go. And then the very last fill in the chorus, the end of the second line, is going to be that E scale. Nobody would ever guess all we're playing is E scale. Then the last part, the last 8 measures of the chorus is just like the last 8 measures or the first 8 measures that we did in the verse. So just repeat. Fill number 1. And then the very last fill in the song is going to be fill number 2. Why not? End it any way you like. I'm going to demonstrate it. Don't just jump in here now. This is something that's going to take some work. If you've done the work up to now and you've taken the time to learn the scales, why not take a few hours, learn to play these fills? They're great exercises just for the movements, but they're also wonderful in terms of how to use the scale, and that's what we're talking about. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Stay out till he starts. Subtle chords.
In the twilight,
Fill number 1.
I see her. Blue eyes crying
Fill number 2.
in the rain. As we kissed
Fill number 1.
and parted, I knew we'd never
4.
meet again. Love is like a dying bird. Only
Number 6.
memories remain. Through the ages,
Number 1 again.
I'll remember blue eyes crying
Number 2.
in the rain. Now
We're at the top
my
again.
hair
Things
has
4 and
turned
5.
to silver. All my life I've loved in vain, and through the ages
Number 1 again.
I'll remember blue eyes crying
Oh.
in the rain. Someday when we meet again, we'll stroll hand in
B7.
hand again in a land that knows no parting. Blue eyes crying in the rain.
Got to admit, that's pretty, but it sure is a lot of work. You're going to have to think what you're doing. Might take you, at least 5 minutes to learn to do this. Well, if you manage to get through Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, this will be a breeze, but it's a nice, refreshing change using the same ideas. All we're doing is reviewing how we approach a song and how we develop it, what we're going to play. First of all, we've got to know the chords, don't we? So go up to Crying My Heart Out Over You, which is the very next chord charts. The introduction, let's look at it. It's an instrumental, by the way. It's full 8 bars. Nice they let us play once in a while. It starts off with an E on 7A and B, to an E7th, 10A, an A on 8A and F. And this song has an F sharp minor in it, so it is 5A. And that's where the F sharp minor is, but if we can just play two notes, strings 5 and 8. And then it goes to a B7th. Well, let's use 8A and F. And then to a B on 10A and F. And then to 12 with no pedals for the 1. And back down. So the introduction will be like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So all we've done is plotted the course in chords. We have to be able to do that. Okay, here's the verse. Go to the page that says, crying my heart out over you. The verse. Here we go. Starts with two measures of 1, 7A and B. And it'll go right straight to a 5, all right? There's a 5 right there, 10A and F. And back to a B7th, which is 8A and F. The second line, it stays in B, so let's go down and use the 5A, the B7th. The 8A and F, which is B7th. Back to a 1. And another 1. Down on 3A and F. The third line, 7A and B. And then let's go to an E7th right there. 10A to 12A and B. 8A and F, 2 4 chords. Then it goes to a 5, 10A and F to 8A and F, which is a B7. And then a couple of 1s. Now, go to the page where it says the chorus in Crying My Heart Out Over You. Here we go. It's a little different, but not a big change. Two measures of 1. We might change strings here and go to 4 and 5. Let's do a straight 5 on 14A and B, a B chord. Down to 10A and F, which is the other for the 5. Now, notice F sharp minor really is 5A. But F sharp minor has a root. It has a major chord that sounds like it. So 5A is F sharp minor. If we let the A pedal out, we get the real true sound of F sharp minor. It's an A. So A is the relative major of F sharp minor by letting the A pedal out. So we can play an A like 8A and F, and it'll sound like F sharp minor. I don't have to play the minor chords. I could play 5A, but I can play 8A and F because I know that's the true root. So 8A and F will sound beautiful as F sharp minor. The band will make it sound like a minor. That's all. Now into the second measure of the second line, 10A and F, which is a 5. And then E or 1 on 12. And another E down on 7. Here we go again. We're going to use that 7th chord, the third line. Start on an E to an E7th, 10A, to 8A and F, to 12A and B. And then it goes to a 5, 10A and F, to a B7th, and down to an E on 7A and B. Now this song is going to go the introduction, the verse, the chorus, and then it's going to do the introduction one more time. So you'll have to come back and do exactly the same thing for the instrumental. Now this is not going to be what I would be saying is exciting in terms of fills, but that's coming. All we're doing is building our foundation, the base. Everything we know about this song to do with fills is going to have to do with how we understand this right here. So you can't play a song if you're not thinking this. You don't necessarily have to play this. But let's do it just so we get familiar with the song and know where the fills are going to be. And every time the fills are going to come in the last 2 bars like we found in everything. Here we go. Crying My Heart Out Over You. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Not too bad. The verse. Second line. Third line. 7th. Last line. line.
Since you went away, I die a little each day, 'cause I'm crying my heart out over
The intro. The verse.
Each night I climb the stairs up to my room.
Second line.
I hear you whisper in the room.
Third line.
Picture on the wall and your footsteps in the hall while I'm crying my heart out
The
over
chorus.
you. I'm crying my heart out over you. Those blue eyes
Second
now
line.
they smile at someone new. Ever
Third line.
since you went away, I die a little each day, 'cause I'm crying my heart out.
Last line. Last line again. Back up to 10.
I'm crying my heart out.
And the ending. Now that tune's a little faster, so you have to think a little quicker. But just look at the chord chart. Don't necessarily memorize it. That's not the point. The thing is, learn to segment this song into 4-beat sections, just like that. We're coming up with the fills here in a minute, and this will really help. All right, let's do the fills to Crying My Heart Out Over You. It'll still be E scale. We're just going to really mix them up. And this tune's quite a bit faster, so you're going to have to get your wits together and actually learn the fills. It's taken me a while to learn to do them. I wrote them before I ever played them, and I've kind of surprised myself. It's hard to play, but it's good stuff, and you can learn to do it. Here we go. Fill number 1. We can play this whole song with 3 fills, by the way. You've got fill number 1 and number 2, and then you've got, in the next page, 2 different fill number 3s. Well, it depends on which one you like or if you like both of them. They're basically the same idea, but it just ends a little differently. We start with the introduction, and let's just keep it pretty much straight, just like the chord progression, and maybe add some of the passing tones. When it starts off, it'll start off with a 1 chord, maybe 7A and B. Then we'll play 10A as the E7, but the passing tone between those two, 10, or 7A and B, and 10A is 8A and F, isn't it? So we'll go kind of like that. It sounds like a melody that way. And then we'll go to an A, just anywhere, 8A and F, maybe up to 12A and B. Well, what's the passing tone between 8A and F and 12A and B? Ah, it's 10A and F. It's a 5 chord. So we go. So the whole introduction, the first line might be 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the 4. And then it'll go to a 5. Well, let's just go straight down the scale from 14A and B. Amazing how that's going to sound. So the introduction is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the scale. Simple as it can be. Now we might want to play it on strings 5 and 8, or why don't we, oh, it's the introduction. Let's do it on strings 4 and 5, so it's screaming. So it'll be a 1, 2, 3, 4. And then did you recognize that? All I did was do the scale and went 1 under each time. Fancy. Do it straight if it's tough for you. Or go. And it'll sound just like it. Now, in this song, it's a little unique, but not unlike a lot of songs. You have a fill at the first line, the end of the first line, and this could be fill number 1. You have a fill at the end of the second line, and that's going to be fill number 2, and we'll play those in a second. In this song, the songwriter did, as many songwriters do, he keeps singing words. So at the end of the third line, you'll have the temptation to play a fill, but you can't. He's still singing there. So we're going to play straight chords just like the chord chart was. And the only place you get a fill is at the end of the first line, the second line, the third line you stay out, and the end of the fourth line, play fill number 3. And so we really can play this whole song with 3 fills. Here's the first fill. Again, it's nothing but E scale. It's going to start with 15 A and F. We're going to go. Those are nice little slides in there. Now it's written on strings 4 and 5, isn't it? Well, we know better. It can be on strings 5 and 8. Pretty nice on 5 and 8. Whole different sound because you're in a different part of the scale. That's what's so nice about pedal steel guitar. You can cheat and lie and people think you know something. Don't tell anybody. I won't if you won't. Okay, that's fill number 1. Fill number 2, same idea, little different phrasing. It goes. Still, it's just E scale. If you practiced your scale, this is a breeze. Now, I don't think you're going to have time to read these. You're going to have to take fill number 1 and 2 because they're the most important, and really learn how they're phrased so you can hum them in your head. If you can't hum it before you play it, you're in trouble. You'll never make it. Once again, here's fill number 1. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's fill number 2. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Two reasons to practice this so you can play it without reading. First of all, it's nice to know what you're doing and how it's going to sound. The other reason is this is pretty mechanical, pretty physical here. You're going to end up looking surely like you got that weed eater in your shorts if you start messing around with the A and B pedal and the F lever, and you can sure get lost. Things can get really in terrible shape if you haven't practiced this. And the moves. Boy, if that move doesn't come natural to you, you're going to make a fool of yourself. If this one doesn't work well, you're going to have to work that until you can just play it and not think about what frets, what pedals. They just come out. Fill number 3. Well, let's use the very top one there. Sounds like this. This is tricky. You'll have to work at it. This is the third fill, or the one we might put in the last line, or even in the first line for that matter. Now that's a mouthful. Again, it goes like this. Pause. Now that's physical. You're going to have to work at this like you would work at a baseball or a golf swing. This is by far the most difficult line we've tried to play. There again, look at those fills. Look at every note. Name them. Is it a 1, a 4, or a 5? Is it an E, or an A, or a B? Notice how it starts and finishes. The fill number 3, that's the bottom line there. We might use it, we might not. Sounds like this. So we're integrating this. We're going to play some on strings 5 and 8, some on 4 and 5. One more time. It goes. Incidentally, you're going to notice something. Fill number 1 is going to be played against a 5 chord. Notice how it starts. It starts on 15A and F. That's not a 5 chord, that's a 1. Doesn't matter, I can start on any chord I want. It's what I play in the meantime. So the band's going to be playing this. And you're going to hear this. Sounds beautiful when you do that. So don't let that 15A and F up there. Just because it looks like E, you can play that against the 5 because it's going to that 5 right there. Same way with the bottom, or the number 3 fill at the bottom. The band will be playing this chord, but you're going to go quite all right. You're playing a 5 chord against a 1. Well, that's what scales are, is it not? We can play any note we want to, 1, 4, and 5 against the 1, and it'll be fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Pretty nice.
Somewhere the music's playing soft and low, and another holds the one that I love so. I was blind, I did not see
Don't play.
that you meant the
Chords.
world to me.
Still chords.
But like a fool, I stood and watched you go. Now I'm crying my heart out over you. Those blue eyes now they smile at someone new. Ever since you went away,
Hold back.
I die a little more each day. 'Cause I'm crying my heart out
Now play.
over you.
Turn around. Back to the chord.
Each night I climb the stairs up to my room. It seems I hear you whisper in the gloom. I miss your picture on the wall,
Stay out.
your footsteps in the hall, while I'm crying my heart out over you. Now I'm crying my heart out over you. Those blue eyes now they smile at someone new. Ever since you went away, I die a little more each day. 'Cause I'm crying my heart
And
out
the fill.
over you.
Back to a
'Cause
5.
I'm crying my heart out over you.
That's pretty quick stuff. You'll have to stop. You'll have to think. By all means, you're going to have to be able to hum these things. If you're not singing them right before you play them, you'll probably miss it. Let's take another song. It's better to get a variety of things so you get a better idea of what's happening. Again, I picked a song that's in the key of E. It's Silver Wings. So dig that chord sheet out there. It's 2 pages. Let's look at it, and we're going to improvise around the chords and get away from the tablature so you can sort of see the chord positions and the scale positions, and we can make some fills out of this. And you can create some things with this that are not written here. You just have fun with it. The song's in E, and the introduction is just the first line. So literally, we can play this thing. It starts up on 12, down to 7A and B. Just play chords. And then the singer's going to come in. It'll be Bob again, and we start again with the first line. So the intro is not written because it's just the first line. So Bob will come in and we play just these 4 measures of E's. There's nothing we can do. He's singing. It's better if we just play the chords. Then in the second line, the F sharp minor comes. We'll play the 5A and up to 8A and F. 2 measures. Now, if you want to get from 5A up to 8A and F as sort of a little fill. There's a little room in there. What's between 5A in the scale and 8A and F? Well, it's 7A and B. So you can go just like that. Make the slight little passing tone. And then it'll go to the B7th, and we're going to play a little run here that'll go 5A to 7A. Same thing. So it's going to be a split measure there. 2 beats on 5A, 2 beats on 7A. Or, since we've just played that in a way, in the F sharp minor, so let's play it on strings 4 and 5. And then we go to the third line. Well, let's start on 12 again. To the next one. Down to 3A and F. Here comes that F sharp minor, but let's don't go to 5A. Let's go straight to the substitute, which is an A, or a 4 chord. 8A and F to 10A and F. And then we're going to go 7A and B. This is leading toward an E7th. We're trying to get from 7A and B up to 10A, which is E7th. And the passing tone between these two, I'm thinking pockets. 7A and B to 10A. The passing tone is 8A and F. There it is. We're going to go. And it's screaming that A is coming, and that's our whole job. If there was ever a job for a steel guitar player, it was to tell people in 7th chords that we're going from a 1 chord to a 4. So there's a beautiful way. Then we go to the chorus. Sure enough, we're going to 12 with the pedals, a 4, and then a B, which is a 5. Then here's a split measure. You have to think quick. It goes 2 beats of E, 2 beats of A, or 1 split 4. It's going up to 15A and F, because that's a high E, or a 1. And this song has a 2 chord in it. So we're going to play F sharp 7th. Well, if F sharp, E is the 1, F sharp is the 2. If F sharp is on 14, I don't want to play it as a major chord. I want to make it a 7th. It sounds better. So I'm going to drop back to 12A, and that makes it F sharp 7th, just like we made B 7th from 7 back to 5A, and E 7th from 12 back to 10A. Well, F sharp 7th is 14. So we're going to announce to the world, this is a nice big fat F7, and then down to 9A and B, because that is an F sharp major. That's fine. And if I want to in here, you'll hear me go and put a passing tone between these two. I'm going to use 10A and F because that's in the scale. So I'm going to go 12A to 10A and F, then to 9A and B. So I'm thinking pockets. Every one of these pairs of chords are pockets to me. And I'm seeing both sides, but I'm thinking the passing tone or the step between, and that's where I'm getting these licks. And then it goes to F sharp minor. Strange song. It goes an F sharp for a couple of measures, and then F sharp minor for 1. So you can use 8A and F for that. That's a substitute major. And then it's going to be a couple of measures and it's an extra measure of B, but very short. And we're going to put a little run. We're going to go 10A and F, 8A and F. So it's a scale walk down. Sorry. And the band's going to stop there. It'll be a hold. So it's going to go really fast, isn't it? It stops, the rhythm picks back up. We start on 3A and F, 7A and B, 12, back to 7A and B, all just 1 chords. The F sharp minor, you can use 5A or 8A and F. 8A and F is closer, but 5A, because I want to go down to 2A and B for the 5 chord. And then the 1 is 3A and F. Listen to how this works, and notice I may slip some passing chords on you, but all they are is steps in the stream.
What?
The first line is the intro.
Silver
First line.
shining in the sun.
line.
Headed somewhere in life.
Third line.
And even below,
Last line.
slowly
Here comes the seventh run. Chorus.
Don't take that airplane ride,
Second line of the chorus.
'cause you locked me out of your mind and let me stay here behind. Silver
Third line.
shining in the sunlight, silver wings slowly fading out of sight.
Last 8 measures of the verse. And the chorus.
Don't take that airplane ride, 'cause you locked me out of your life and let me stay here behind. Silver wings shining in the sunlight, silver wings slowly fading out of sight.
Tag.
Silver wings slowly fading out of sight.
Tricky, isn't it? All I'm thinking is pockets. I didn't have to write out the tablature. All I looked at was the chords, and I said, wow, what are the steps between these? And when I heard Bob not singing, and he wasn't quite so busy, I put the fill in there. But it's all just chords and pockets to me. Go up to the next page in your book there, which just says seventh chords. There's a few boxes there we need to talk about because they're ways of thinking. They're patterns, that's all, and we want to get everything we've done so far and add one thing to it, which is very important. And we're not necessarily just talking about chords here. We're talking about melody lines and getting phrases together. And many times in a melody line, there's a position here we need to give us the melody just because it's beautiful. There's other ways of getting it, but this makes it easy. Let's start from the very beginning. The top box there, we're talking about the B chord. In this case, it's the 5 or just B seventh. Well, again, the first thing we learned here was to go back to 5A, just to the left of 7. Or we said we could go from 7 up to 10A and F and let the A pedal off. And so 10F gives us a B7. We use that a lot. We can go 1 fret up from 7 to 8A and F. Pretty sound. It's the one that's on 5A I want to talk about. We use that a lot, but there's a note many times in a melody line that'll go, and that's the sound we're looking for. That's why we've got the 4 with the F lever there. That's a diminished chord, by the way. Of course, we had B7 on 10F. This doesn't sound like this. This sounds like a true diminished chord using the F lever. Beautiful sound, but we're not going to use the full diminished sound. We're just going to play strings 5 and 8 or 4 and 5. But you're going to find it very handy in melody lines. But there again, it's very physical. You need to learn to use this. It's not something you're just going to think about and do it. You're going to have to practice it. And you're going to hear something when you use this. Many times it'll be in conjunction with 5A. We might be playing 5A, back to 4F, and you can hear it. It's trying to go somewhere because it's a diminished chord. It's trying to resolve to an E, and there's an E right there on 3A and F. Well, listen to that sound. Here's 5A 4F, 3A and F. There's a little counterpoint harmony going on there. The top line is going up, the bottom line is going down. So you're getting beautiful sound. It's pedal steel guitar in its best. So we need to look at this two ways. You might be thinking on 5A, think one below. Now there's several ways of getting there too. Rather than playing 5A and jumping to 4F, very, very quick and not very pleasing. There's nothing wrong with going 5A, let the pedal off, and let that passing tone go by. Very smooth that way. Or the other way, maybe 4F to 5 with no pedals, and then the A pedal. So it'll be, and maybe resolve there, or it could go to the D lever, because that's an E as well. So these are little patterns we're trying to get in our mind. Now, we're not talking about this being beginner stuff, are we? This is pretty advanced. So you have to practice these things. You want to get the feel of what it's like, and you want to get the sound so that when you hear a melody line, you know, hey, that's where I get that melody line. Yes, we do this for chords sometimes too, but it's better for melodies. Again, the second box there, look, you might be thinking 2A and B. Well, how many of you have ever played a chord in a pedal down position? Everybody has, 2A and B. Now there's a 7th chord 2 frets above that, from 2A and B up to 4F. Notice it's the same melody line. One is a major, 4 with the F is the 7th. And it might go on up to 5 and then resolve. Now there's all kinds of ways of using this, and you hear this more often than not. You do hear this on records right now. People are using strings 4 and 5 rather than 5/8. Prettier up there, or a lot of manipulation going on there. Now some of you have an X lever. Not all guitars have it, and if you don't have it, it's no big deal. But the X lever, we call it, is an up lever that lowers the 5th string a half a tone. Well, you can do the same exact sounds we've been talking about here. The 4F could be on 5 with the X lever, and it goes to right there. Well, if you don't have the X lever, sometimes this is a lot easier. The up lever is usually the X, and you're bumping the guitar up and down, and we didn't have the X lever for years and years. We used 4F. It's a hair out of tune, but it has its own voice there. It's kind of nice. So learn to do it this way, even if you have the X lever, because sometimes it's just more convenient to do it this way. And you get the same sound, and it's a lot more soul in it, I guess we could say it that way. The best way to learn to do this and use it is to do a few exercises, and that's what's up next. So stop right here, have a look, and kind of play around with the manipulation of 4F and 5A, and then let's go to these exercises and learn how to use it. Cue up track 1. We're back to the very first track because it just deals with E and B, or a 1 and a 5. And this little exercise is about melody lines. We're going to create some melody lines, and it has two purposes here. We're going to use the 4F and find out how to use it in terms of the 5 and using it as a melody. But I find with students I have, it's hard to break an old habit, and it's hard to get people to use the scale and think about it. You can learn a phrase and play what somebody else has written, but in this exercise we're going to, on purpose, play positions that don't look like E. People can hear the band playing E and they'll want to be on 12 or 7A and B. All those scale notes that are in between 12 and 7A and B are beautiful melody lines. 10A and F, 8A and F, between 7A and B and 3A and F. There's a 5A, isn't there? So this exercise, the first 2 lines, it's all in E, but we're going to play every note in the scale and spend quite a bit of time, because 2 things happen. Mentally, 10A and F, you learn it, and you just learned it from me in this course, as it's a B chord or it's a 5. There's nothing wrong with playing that chord, 10A and F, while the band is playing an E or 8A and F. While they are. There are beautiful little tension notes, and that's what scale notes are about. So the first line up there, the first line of working with the melody is So you're hearing all kinds of notes that aren't E. That's the whole point. Here's the first line is. And I gave you the 10A and F and the 8A and F on purpose to get you to where you could think it. But then sometimes if you've been playing so long and your ears are not used to hearing the 5 chord, 10A and F, against the 1 chord, you just don't like to hear it. But it happens all the time. You hear all the good players doing it, but you're used to your own playing. So this exercise is to break you free, set you loose here, and get you playing. So learn line 1. It goes like 1, 2, 3, and it comes in after the beat by 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's line 1. Here's line 2. The same idea, just a different direction. Now I've got you using every wrong note in the scale that you can. In fact, we're going 7A and letting the A pedal off, a B chord against it, 5A. So again, here's line 2 in time. 2, 3, 4, 1. So this is all in an E. So here's line 1 and 2 in time. 1, 2, 3, 4, go. Pause. Now we've played almost every note in the scale. We've certainly played every wrong note you can play in the scale, because every one of those are 1s and 4s and 5s, but I'm trying to get you to stay as much as I can off of the 1. I'm trying to get you to say, yeah, the band's playing E, but I don't have to be on 7 with the pedals all the time. I don't have to be on 12 all the time. And then go to line 3. The chord progression goes to a 5 chord. And this is all going to be a nice B7 scale using that 4F spot the way we do many, many times. So we're going to start with a B right there on 10A and F, back to 8A and F, back to 5A, 4F to 5A. Beautiful little melody line there. You hear this in thousands of songs. And it's going to resolve back to 3A and F. So there's the line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if this is the first time you've watched that video, I would love to be there the first time you try to play this line, because your knees are going to go back and forwards, up and down, and your feet are going to be stomping. You're going to do everything wrong. Take your time. Go real slow and learn the muscle exercise here. You got to get moving. Right here, you got to get coordinated. So, here's what this exercise sounds like along with a rhythm track, and it just repeats over and over again. So you can just keep playing this same thing. This is about like half a verse. This is the first 2 lines. And just keep doing the same thing. Listen close, get the phrasing, and I'll improvise a little bit using this too. See if you can catch what's going on. Ready for the band? Pretty little melody line. Start at the top again. Here we go. Line 1 again. Strings 4 and 5. Strings 5 5 and 8. How many songs sound like this? Top again. Let us change strings. It's a beautiful, beautiful way to learn these melodies. And all you have to do is take those lines, play around with them, and as quickly as you've got the idea, improvise on your own. Throw that sheet away and make up something. Find out how the scale works and find out how 4F sounds.